Pete Gustus here with the smallbusinessresourcecenter.com with some exciting news. Yesterday, there was a virtual town hall with America. So Trump was speaking about a lot of really important things that are affecting us and answered a lot of questions for people in the nation. This was basically only on one channel, and it was a three-part series. So keep in mind, due to copyrights, I know a lot of times it's difficult to share it. So what I did is I watched the entire series and I condensed it into the important notes, which I'm going to read over for you. These are my notes. If this helps you and you like it, smash a like button below. And if you want, subscribe to my channel. I try to put out great content all the time, and share this with a friend if you think somebody else can use it. First question. A lady had asked that I'm unemployed and applied for unemployment and various stimulus funding. I haven't received anything. What can we do about this? Trump said that, of course, they approved the stimulus funding and the pandemic unemployment assistance programs. So the states, as well as the Treasury, are supposed to distribute those funds, and the Small Business Association. So he said he can't understand why you haven't received anything, but what they are doing is both parties agree more funding is needed. So even though they have not distributed all the funds yet for the EDIL, the PPP, and the unemployment compensation, they are working on another stimulus package already. So hold in tight, and Trump can't control how the states are distributing the pandemic unemployment assistance. Next question. Trump was asked if the federal and the CDC guidelines for the coronavirus were either too harsh or not harsh enough to stop the spread of the coronavirus. And he said that he believes the federal guidelines were right in line with what needed to be done. Now, of course, states had the option to increase those guidelines or decrease. The states that actually changed anything typically had quarantines or made them harsher. He said that they were expecting around 2.5 million deaths based on projection, and now the projections are saying we should have 80 to 90,000 deaths. Of course, Trump said no deaths would be ideal, but when you have a pandemic like the coronavirus, it would be impossible to say there would be none. So unfortunately, 80 to 90,000 is a great number, and that's what's going to be expected over the term of this whole event, even though none would be the best. Next question. Trump was asked what federal testing will be in place. Trump said that they left it up to the states and the governors to decide what the testing requirements will be per state. The federal government also provided funding for every state to test. In the United States, we've had 2.5 million tests so far. And Trump said when they had the governor's call a couple days ago, only one state said they needed anything. That was Washington, and they asked for swabs for more testing. So after that, on the news, they stated that Trump wasn't doing enough to help the states as far as testing. And Trump said, well, if they're not asking for help and then they're going on the news saying they're not getting help, it's their fault, not his, because at the meeting, only one state asked for help, and he suggested what they can do to help it. They needed swabs, and he said the swabs are the easiest thing to acquire at the time. So he said he's doing everything he can, the coronavirus task force is, but if your state's not requesting help from the federal government, of course, they're not going to get anything. Trump was asked when a vaccine will be ready, and his response was a vaccine should be ready by the end of the year. He's very hopeful on that. Right now, a lot of countries are working on making vaccines. And remdesivir, also from Gilead, is a drug that's being used and produced to treat the coronavirus, and it seems to be working pretty well. But there are a lot of things that are currently being used. Trump was also asked about getting back to school, and Trump basically said that he expects all schools to be open by September. And what he would like is the schools to have some social distancing. They should also have safety precautions they need, but older staff and teachers would have to take extra precautions to be safe just in case the spread starts back up. and they should also follow social distancing guidelines. If somebody's in very bad health, they may want to not come in for a while until they can be assured that they would be safe. Trump was asked about his interest in hydrochloroquine. Trump stated that false news has been putting out that he has an interest in a company associated with the drug used to cure, well, one of the drugs used to cure the coronavirus. He says he absolutely has no interest in any company that is producing cures for the coronavirus. So he just wanted to make that clear. Trump was asked if his actions to slow the spread were correct or if he felt he waited too long to take any actions. Trump stated that he actually closed access when he heard news of the spread of the coronavirus and the problems on January 23rd. He said that was well before there were any deaths in the United States. So the news was saying that he was not acting. And in fact, Joe Biden, who put out a lot of false information, later wrote a letter apologizing to Trump, stating an apology for putting out facts that he was actually not acting and did not do anything to slow the spread when he was informed about it. Trump was asked about the impeachment, and he basically said the impeachment was a huge hoax and a waste of time. He said it was a waste of time, money, and resources, and a lot of things could have been improved a lot better if this money, time, and resources weren't being wasted on trying to impeach him. So he said he accomplished so much in 3 years to try to improve America, and he's working on that path still. Unfortunately, the coronavirus hurt that, but we're still moving forward with plans to rebuild America. Restaurants asked about problems they're having in the supply chain and meat prices. They basically said meat prices are going up and there are shortages happening. Trump said 2 days ago he signed a Defense Production Act to basically get the supply chain working correctly and try to keep the restaurants provided with food. Because, of course, if you're in the restaurant business, you realize that your margin's not always huge. So if you're having a shortage and prices are up, it's very difficult, especially at this time, to try to pass those increased prices to consumers that are all also hurting. So they said they're working on that. They did sign something 2 days ago, and basically they're doing what they can. Trump was asked what will be done to help seniors because they are the most vulnerable and the most likely to actually die from the coronavirus. I just wanted to make note, I'm going to put a link in the description for the full senior press brief if you want to see it, because there was one. It's like an hour long. But Trump's response to this question was they're making legislation to reduce traffic to seniors because they're high risk during and after the coronavirus, because there could be some lag time and people could still be sick. He said, unfortunately, some of the states did not follow federal guidelines, and some of them actually were putting sick people at the same areas as seniors, and that actually caused an increase of deaths with seniors, an increase of seniors getting sick. So he said if the states would have followed the guidelines with the CDC and that the federal government created, there would have been less problems. Unfortunately, he can't change that. Nothing was done on purpose, but they're going to make legislation to help safeguard seniors. Trump was asked about the hospitals and the many healthcare workers that aren't working right now. And Trump basically said that we need to open hospitals back up so that people who are waiting for their elected surgeries can get back in and get them completed. He said many people have asked about that. Of course, it's the states that are shutting that down. So we need to get those healthcare workers back to work, and the people who want their surgeries want to get them. And his suggestion is to start opening up and practice the CDC guidelines and social distancing. So for self-employed people and small business people that didn't qualify for funding, Trump said he's going to have his people review the programs, the stimulus programs that are currently in place, and try to fix the cracks. So they are currently working on that. If you remember question one, basically they're trying to work on another stimulus package already. Trump was asked why he's so hostile to the press. And basically, Trump said because 94 to 95% of the press is extremely biased. He said if you watch and see what they do, they ask biased questions and they tell half truths when he answers those questions. So he has no problem of calling out the press that are putting out fake news and being biased. And that's why he does it, because they're purposely trying to make him look bad instead of coming together and helping the situation and promoting honesty. They're just basically doing whatever they can to try to say something bad about him. That's why he's biased to the press. Trump was asked what they are doing to try to help people of color and other minorities because they're disproportionately affected by the coronavirus. And Trump said they currently are conducting research and reports to determine what is causing it and why there's an increased spread in minority communities. It's not just Black, but it's also Hispanic and Asian communities. So he said they're working on the report right now. They're going to make a determination on why, and also they're going to work on steps to prevent it and reduce it. And that's going to be done in about 2 weeks. Trump was asked about the federal deficit and what they're planning to do because of all the stimulus money that's being given out. Now the deficit's going to be way worse. And Trump said before this even happened, they enacted tariffs, and billions of dollars in tariff money have gone back to American companies, taxes, and of course, farmers. What those tariffs also did is they brought jobs back to America. And Trump stated that we have been supporting NATO 100%, and instead of America paying for the whole bill, they're actually having other countries, support NATO. So they're doing things like that to reduce our spending and bring money and jobs back to America. And basically, that's what we're doing to help reduce the deficit that's being created and made worse. Trump was asked about medical production in other countries, and he basically stated that within 2 years, he's expecting to have most of the medical production and supply chain back in America. Currently, about 95% of the supply chain in medicine is outsourced to other countries. The reason why the medical industry has done this because the past laws gave them tax breaks and the labor costs were lower. So because of those costs and the tax breaks that they were getting, they basically outsourced all their jobs. And Trump's current plan is to bring back most of the medicine production back to the United States, thus bringing more jobs. And this is planning on being done within the next 2 years. Trump also asked about payroll taxes. Trump stated that the plan to help will reduce payroll taxes for employers, which can help them sustain and hire more. And also, they're going to have funding for infrastructure growth because we have a lot of bad roads and infrastructure problems. And having additional programs to fix those is going to be important in the next couple years. So they're working on those programs right now. Steve Mnuchin with the Department of Treasury said that more money is going to be going out this week. He was asked why the funding's taken so long. He said they're processing everything as quickly as possible and they're not trying to delay. But you have to keep in mind, they've done more loans in the past 45 days than they've processed in the last, I think they said 10 years before on a different press brief. But he said that's what's taking so long. It's not the fact that they don't have the money, it's allocated and they know it's going out. It just takes so long to get everything processed. Trump was also asked about what we're doing to help America as far as tariffs and if we should eliminate the tariffs. Because, of course, some American companies that are purchasing stuff from China, they know their costs are increased because of the tariffs. And Trump said we were losing in the past around $500 billion a year. And what the tariffs are actually doing is they have given $19 billion back to farmers. Even though some of the farmers say they don't want it, they just want the regulations to be how they used to so they can compete with Chinese prices. Those tariffs are actually bringing money back to America, and they're going to bring jobs back to America because more American suppliers will start to be able to compete with Chinese labor pricing. So he said the tariffs make it a level playing field, and China's also expected to buy $250 of products from the United States. And in the past, they didn't buy anything because, of course, they could produce it cheaper than we can. So why would they purchase anything? He said these trade deals were done before the coronavirus. I'll just leave it at that for right now, but I'm going to have another video about that later. Trump was asked about the World Health Organization, and Trump said that the World Health Organization is partially responsible for the problem when the coronavirus spread occurred. He said America was one of the biggest contributors to the World Health Organization, and they followed the information that China provided that caused this spread, because when China first said there wasn't a problem, the World Health Organization was putting out that news and did not do anything. That's why Trump actually said that he's not going to fund the World Health Organization if basically they're not following things and just taking China's word for it, which has caused this global problem we're currently having. So America put a travel ban because of Trump. And then what happened is a lot of the Chinese people started going to Europe, and that's why Europe actually had so many bad problems, because they were taking the advice of the World Health Organization. They did not restrict China travel when Trump basically did it first. Trump was asked about the airline industry and other big businesses, and he stated that $50 billion went to the airline industry, and basically this is being done because this is such an important thing and we have to bring jobs back to America. And he said 150 billion will be given to states to help coronavirus. But what they're not planning on doing is bailing out states that are poorly managed, because they asked about some states that are doing very bad. He said those states were doing bad before the coronavirus. We're not giving additional money to help them because they're running their state poorly. They're helping with coronavirus problems, and that's basically what they're doing right now. Trump was asked about people who were going to church services and being arrested. His response, basically, he said that the federal government and the CDC has not made it so that people cannot go to church. Even though Trump stated that he is watching virtual church services, he said the guidelines that were put out for the CDC and federally were for social distancing. And he had been made aware that some people actually conducted church in a parking lot where people were actually in their own cars listening, and police arrested them. He said, unfortunately, he's not okay with that, but the states have enacted their own laws. So your state representatives are who you should contact. But your state enacted laws, so if you're being arrested or fined for trying to be safe and practice social distancing, the reason why that's being done is because your state has enacted regulations, not because the federal government, the coronavirus task force, or the CDC says you cannot go to church. Trump also stated that we need to get back to work quickly. He said so many Americans are contacting the federal government and asking to go back to work. And he said, following the CDC regulations, they should be able to get back to work safely. And basically, there's social distancing and other things that are recommended. Many people can get back to work, and that they're working on plans like that. And if you didn't see the Patriot pay, I do have a video about that, but that talks about additional pay for people that are frontline workers and essential workers right now. So I'll have a video in the link in the description for the Patriot pay. If you want an update, by the way, hit the subscribe button. I always update my videos. It's somewhere right here, and try to get the information out to you as soon as possible. But Patriot pay can be very important for a lot of people that could use it. Trump was asked about the election and asking if there were going to be any rallies. Of course, Trump said due to social distancing and the current regulations, it's impossible to have a rally. He said if you go to his rallies, of course, they're packed, and they're actually lines of people, and they're so big that people can't even get in. The sad part about that is he said you can't really have a rally and then have social distancing, because he doesn't want to get anyone sick We need to follow the guidelines. They don't know if rallies will be resuming, but of course the election's still going on. Vice President Pence, he also stated that he apologizes for not wearing a mask during his Mayo Clinic. The reason why he didn't, he said, is because they actually get tested very regularly and he knows he does not have the coronavirus. Because of that fact, that's why he wasn't wearing it. And of course, a lot of times when he does go out to certain places, he does wear it. So Trump was actually asked to speak at the West Point graduation this year, and he was being criticized for doing that by the media. Trump said that the media is putting out bad information. He said in no way is he endangering anybody by attending if he decides to attend. So he said they didn't make a decision yet, but nobody's in danger because he doesn't have the coronavirus. And also, they have already put out information that if they do have their graduation, they will be following social distancing guidelines, so nobody would be in danger. He said he gets tested all the time, and they're going to make a final decision very soon whether to attend the graduation or not. Trump was asked what he will do to bring people together in America. Basically, the coronavirus seems like it's actually bringing people further apart and there's more problems. And Trump basically said that first step is we need to succeed and fix the coronavirus. And what we need to do is stop the arguing and bring people together. Trump's team has done more in 3 years than any other president has done in 8 years by bringing jobs and prosperity to America. Trump's trying to get rid of some loopholes, and winning the election is going to be key for him to get the country back on track. So they are working on things now, and they have plans already in place after the election to get us back on track and make America a better place. Trump said basically he's planning on getting things back to normal. Trump also was being told that he was a germaphobe, and he said he's never been a fan of handshaking, but he does shake hands, of course. What they're recommending right now is everyone following social distancing guidelines, and basically when they're comfortable and this is all over, he expects everything to go back to normal. He's not expecting some new normal. So he expects people to be shaking hands and everything will be back together soon. Trump was also asked about medicine, and he said that he enacted the right to try medicines for people who are very sick, that they can try things that are not completely approved by the FDA, but are showing that they can be effective. So people who have been sick and have problems that can lead to life or death have the right to try medications that are being used other places but not yet approved by the FDA. Trump said that we're moving in the right direction to make America a much better country. We're doing what we can to bring jobs back. And what we're going to do is bring Americans together instead of having them divided and fighting all the time. And that was basically the town hall. A lot of very important questions are being answered. I don't know why it was very, very limited in the broadcast. If this helped you out, smash the like button somewhere down here. Subscribe to my channel if you want the quickest updates. And share this with a friend if you think it can help somebody out. Have a great day, everybody.